Welcome to today's live class. Where we'll be talking about Betty, precisely. The agendas for today would be explaining the quiz questions. I would also explain Betty, its problems, and how to solve them. And then tag 0 to 2, I would also explain it and would say how we'll be able to avoid Betty issues or fix them if they come up. I would also explain to you my thought process. I'll show you everything you need to complete your current tasks, since I will not be taking you through all of them. And the reason why I won't be taking you through all of them is because you learn better when you do it yourself. So the whole purpose of this is to make you be able to do it yourself. All right, so let's get started now. I would share my screen, and before I talk about today's quiz question, is there anyone here that have not completed yesterday's task? Use the in-call message to answer. Use the in-call message to let me know. You have not completed yesterday's task. And what tax is remaining? Okay, Mr. Ade, what tax is tax 5 and 6? Okay. Okay, Mr. Ade, if you've not opened it. Okay, this year has not also started. All right, you saw my video on C programming. If you've not seen it, here it is on YouTube here. So you want to check it out. It covers everything you need. So I've copied it now and pasted it. It's designed to make the C Hello World project look very simple, because it is simple. Still on Shell System Engineering DevOps, I have those videos, so just check my YouTube link. I explain, as well as also help with some basic tax questions. So tax 5 and 6, let me run through it quickly. So someone said, tax 5 is the printf function. All right, so I explained this in my video. Yes, the video I released that I've shared with you on the info message now. This video here that talked about Hello World C programming. The channel is Bwave ICT on YouTube. So I've shared the video with you, and then I did tax 5 there. Tax 6. People in my special intense learning class, some complained about tax 6. Okay, so we are looking at tax 6 of yesterday. Fume, good evening and welcome. Have you been able to do task 6? I did not hear what Tome said. Task 6. Okay, 5 is pretty much simple. Okay, that's it. So we are going to look at that. All right, for our task 6, let me just go through it briefly with you. So look at these task 6 questions. It says our C program is going to print the size of various types. These types here are data types. Our C program is going to print the size of various data types on the computer it is compiled and run on. So the formula to print various data types is size of. See the formula here. This size of variable, it's inbuilt. This here, size of, and then the name of the variable or the name of the type you want to print. So if you want to print out a data type, use the size of operator. And then when you want to return the result of size of, we can use either these two format specifiers, LU or ZU, to return the result of size of. We use either LU or ZU. So if you've seen this, if you actually copy to beat the deadline and you want to understand what LU and ZU does, this is it. We use it to get the return value of the size of the size of the variable we're looking for. Okay, so now this is it. This is a data type called integer. And then if I want to get it, I'll do size of int, ZU here. So I don't know what the size of int is. To get the return value, I'm going to use either ZU or LU. If I use ZU, I'll just come down here and write size of. Then in here, look, I wrote int type here because I assigned int type to integer, and I assigned float type to float, and I assigned double type to double. So here, int type, size of int type. So once again, we use ZU to get the format specifier, and then we use the size of int type here, float type. Can someone please mute? So I hope this is clear now. If you got your answer from my repo, I use LU. And if you're going to use LU, there is something I did again. Something called long. Please, if you're not muted, kindly mute. There's something called long int. So that's what we'll actually have to put if we use LU. But that's quite a stressful process. So you could use the ZU here if you've not done it again. If my screen isn't showing, I'm sure it's from your end. So it's from your end, so try to fix that out. So this is that for why I use ZU here. And then in my question, when I was answering it, I use LU. Hope it does make sense to you. If you don't understand, I explained it again in this my video. So I saw in the comment section someone was asking for where is the video. See it here. So I pasted it once again. I explained all the tasks. I just thought about telling you about the ZU today. Let's go to our today's quiz. The first thing I said we'll talk about. Okay. Variables, if, else. Check your message, in call message, it's there. So question 0, what's the size of the unsigned int data type? It's 4 bytes. What's the size of an integer data type? Int means integer, and integer stands for whole number in C. Numbers like 5. That's what I'm just doing. An integer is a whole number like 5, right? When we say unsigned ints, we are talking about a whole number that doesn't have a negative value. So if we have -5, this has a negative value, and this is not an unsigned int, but this is an unsigned int. So 5 is an integer. 10 is I don't know if you're following us, but I'm talking about the quiz. Once again, please use the in-call message to ask me questions. So this is an integer, and the size of this, when you write 10, the computer allocates 1. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to give you this 4 space to this variable. When you put 1 here, computer is going to allocate 4 space to this variable. So this is what we mean by 4 bytes. Let's go to the next one. What's the size of a character? This char means here, this char that you're seeing here is character. So what's the size of a char data type? It's 1 byte. What's a char? A char is a letter. For example, A is a char, B, F, G, any letter is a char. It's a character. For short, you could call it char or char. Anyone is correct. And when you put in a character here, the computer allocates 1 byte. These quiz questions is very much related to your task 6 of yesterday. So the quiz question 2, what's the size of a float data type? It's also 4 bytes. So what's a float data type? A float is a decimal number, 3.2. This is a float. Okay, so any number that has a point, remainder, it's a float. Now if this 32, it becomes an integer, but 3.2 is a float. When you assign a float, when you use this keyword float, the computer is going to store 4 bytes of memory to whatever you're going to assign to this value floats. That's it for question 2. Question 3. Which of the following are valid if statements considering A and B, 2 variables of type integer? So this is what they are saying. I hope first you've understood the is alphabet int like A? No, alphabet is a character. Now look at that quiz. Int. How did I get this? It says considering A and B, 2 variables of type int. So the integer type, the data type is an integer, and then we have 2 variables A and B. So this is how we declare them. It's A and it's B. Now yes, asking us an if question. Which of the following are valid if statements in C? This is a valid if statement considering Betty compliance and Nancy C compliance. This one. So what does this mean? If A is greater than B, return A. If this is looking difficult, this A, write 10. Then this B, write 2. Now we are saying if A is greater than B, return A. So someone should just tell me in the comment section now what this will return. Let me know that we understand this statement. Thank you. Majority of people have said 10, and that's correct. So for you, for Mr. Mike, probably you made a mistake. It's 10. So we are simply saying if 10 is greater than 2, return 10. But here does not know what is 10 and the rest. So it's here. A is equal to 10 and it's of the type integer. Should be clear now. So what they were saying here is that look at all these codes, all of them, and choose which one its syntax would comply with B. All right. So all of them are the same logic. But if you look here, I didn't use any syntax. I did not use any of the bracket or whatever. So if you write this in your C code now, it's going to give you an error. So here is saying which of them here will not give you an error. The answer is 1 and 2. Question 4. Okay, here's the difference. You understand this one? Question 4. Which of the following are valid for statements? For me, what we are saying in question 3 is this. If 10 is greater than 2, return 10. Remove this return and put print 10 or display 10. It's the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to put it back on 10. But now, instead of putting 10, they put A, then B, and then they came here and put A again. A is equal to 10. So anywhere you see A, it's automatically 10. Anywhere you see B, it's automatically 2. Question 4. Which of the following are valid for statements in Alx C and Bwave? So we are talking about what's the title of this project? Variables, if, else. Okay, so we have 4 statements. A for statement is a loop. A loop goes over an object. It's going to, when we say loop, we are saying walk through all of them, enter all of them. So which of this one is a for loop? That is correct, considering A and B are 2 variables of type int. This should be clear now, because it's the same principle that applies with 3. Look at this first one. It says for A is equal to 0, A less than B, increments A. This A plus plus means increments A by 1. So as long as A, first off, A is equal to 0, as long as A is less than B, increments A by 1. So what this first statement is going to do is going to check, is A less than B? Then it's going to increment it. Come back again. Is A less than B? It's going to keep incrementing it. So let me quickly show you this now. Let's say now A is 2 and B is 10. Let's see how the loop works. I will copy this and all right. So when we talk about the 4 here, we are saying, okay, I said D is going to be 2. Now remove all these syntax if they will confuse you. Remove all these things. Remove this one. So this A now, remove A and put 2. 2 is equal to no, 2 cannot be. For our 4 statements, we can't assign this. This is how it should be. Okay, yes, we can. I think we can. So first off, okay, let's do this. So first off, A is equal to 0. What have I been doing? A is equal to 0. You know, A is 0. Right. Now, as long as A is less than B, we are going to add A. So A is automatically 0. Is 0 less than B. B here is 10. The answer is yes. So it's going to add 1. Where is it going to add it to? It's going to add it here. A becomes 1. Is 1 less than 10? Yes. It's going to come back and add it. 2. Is 2 less than 10? Yes, it's going to come back, turn it to 3. Is 3 less than 10? Yes, it's going to come back, turn it to 4. Is 9 less than 10? Yes, it's going to come back and turn it to 10. Is 10 less than 10? No. It's going to stop. Now, immediately it stops. It will now print out, please, kindly mute. It will now print out all the results it has. So for how many times it went over this whole code from 0 to 10, it's going to print it out. Those were the next lines you saw here. So this printf that looks like magic is simply telling it to print the answers for how many times you went through this whole loop. I don't know if that's a little clear. So if A had to go through this loop 9 times to get the answer, which it would go here, it's going to print out all the times. It's going to print out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because we ask A to be printing out 1 each time. So it's going to print out 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it will also print out 0 because 0 is less than 10. So that's that for loops. Talk more about it next time. So what's the question now is all about is choose the syntax that is correct. What does the %d and n means? Those are format specifiers. We'll talk more about that sometime around next week. But what this question 4 is now saying is that choose all the correct ways to write a for loop in C. And this is one correct way. This is the second correct way. And this is the third correct way. This is correct. This one. Somebody in the group was saying he doesn't understand why. It's correct because we've already defined a variable to 0 here. So by just putting the semicolon, we are telling it to go on. And I find this really, really simple. The D and the N means new line, and then the D is a format specifier. We'll be talking more about format specifiers. We have plenty of them, but we'll be talking more about that sometime around next week. Question 5. Which of the following are valid while or do while statements in ANSI C and Betty compliance? So while is another form of loop. For is a loop. While is also a loop. Okay, Mr. Jacob, I see you. I see your question. Because of time, I'm running on this. I cannot answer it. Put it on Google. Well, I just explained why now. I believe you were not listening. Question 5. Which of the following are valid while or do while statements? While loop means while A is equal to 0, No, A is 0 normally. Now, while A is less than B, increment A plus plus. A plus plus means increment it by 1. I'm actually finding this syntax strange because I'm used to Python, and Python doesn't have this. Anyways, in C, this is how to increment by 1. So while A is less than B, so assume that B is 10 now and A is 0. Y 0 is less than B, continue to increment. But the valid syntax to write it is this. This is one of the valid syntax, right? A is equal to 0. While A is less than B, continue to print A. And then after printing A, increment it by 1. Go back again. So for loop and while loop basically are almost the same thing. Now do while loop is a little different. For a do while loop, the program first executes before checking. This is what we mean. Let's say in our do while loop now, the A is equal to 10. Let's change this to do while. This is not the syntax, so but I just want to use to explain something. Now A is not less than 10, right? But see what our condition says. While A is less than B, increment. But A is not less than B. In a do while loop, it will first do the condition before checking. So it will first increment to perform that task first before coming to check if this is correct. So what we mean is this: A is equal to 0. It will do this one first. It's going to print out 0 and increment it. Then it will come down here and check if A is less than B. So it's just like if you say, while Fume is in this meeting, talk about variables. Now, if you use a normal for loop, it's going to check if Fume is first in this meeting before it's going to talk about variables. But in a do while loop, it's going to first talk about variables. After talking about it, so now check, is Fume in this meeting? If Fume is not in this meeting, it won't talk about it again. So only talk about it that once. I hope that's clear now. So what this question is asking is, what are the valid syntax to print out while loops and do while loop? And these are the valid syntax. One, this one, I think it's 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. So that's it for the quiz questions. If you want to get the quiz questions, what I was doing was explanation. Maybe you could ask on the group, or you could go and check my video. I did one video on the quiz questions, no explanations. I'll just did it like that. Now let's talk about tag 0 and how we can link this up to Betty. Say tag 0. This program would assign a random number to the variable n each time it is executed. This is your job. Complete the source code in order to print whether the number stored in the variable n is positive or negative. You are going to complete a source code. You are not going to write the source code. You can find the source code here. The variable n will be stored in a different value every time you run the program. You don't have to understand this. Please do not touch this code. The output of the program should be the number. So see where consigns us. This is where really consigns us. The output, what we are going to add to the program should be, if the number is greater than 0, we'll print is positive. If the number is 0, we'll print is 0. If the number is less than 0, we'll print is negative. Where can we see the source code? See it here. See it here. So this is our source code, right? We are not to touch any of this. We are just to complete it. So how do we do that now? Let's check it out. For this project, we are using a different directory, same repository. So I could copy this. So really, all right. Done. Paste it. So I'm about to start my terminal. This. All right. So I've used the SSH method to get into the terminal. Now I'm going to seed into my Alx low-level programming, and in here I'm going to create a new directory. So you should be used to this by now. This one should not be a problem. I'm just going to rush over it. So now I'll seed into my 0x01 variables, and as usual, you create a readme file now. You already know that one. So I don't have time, but please don't follow me and do this. I just created something that even me cannot read. Now for attacks 1, for attack 0, we are going to create attack 0. EI. This is my tag 0. Okay, now it's time to start our serious business. Look at what we're asked to do again. Look at what we're asked. This program mode, the output of this program should be this. We can find the source code here. We will not touch the source code. So here that our source code is now, would copy it from here. Look at this copy button. Click it. Come here. Paste. Yeah. This will give us errors. But if you're using git bash, would be pretty easier for you. If you're using Sandbox, this will also appear to give you errors seriously with white space. But if you're using Git Bash, and guess what I've just done? To switch immediately to Git Bash. Don't ask me why. Nobody likes errors. It's going to give us a lot of errors with white space. So even though I can fix it, that would not actually be a good option. So okay, so I did not hear that. If there is something I'm doing and I'm not explaining it, probably because if you do it the way you've been doing it since, that's also okay. I've talked a lot about SSH and how you can switch to Git Bash. So that's why for this one, I'm not really like talking too much about it. Let me nothing would happen, but get used to, if you're using the sandbox, get used to fixing a lot of white line, especially when you copy and try to paste in the sandbox. That's just all. And the sandbox is not friendly. There's nothing nice about it. There's no reason why you should like the sandbox. Tamox is not sandbox. I think Tamox is even friendly for phone users. You saw that when I pasted my, you can ask questions with the in-call message. You're using Vagrant. You use the Vagrant SSH, Vagrant Orb. You're safe now. Uh, yes, that's how it's supposed to be. If you notice something, when I copied that code they gave us that we should not touch and paste it here, the way the thing misbehaved in Ubuntu was not the same way it behaved in Git Bash. That's why I used to run with Sandbox and Ubuntu in general. I prefer Bash. Now look at this. They said you are not to touch this code. So what I just did, I clicked the here, copied everything here, and then you are not to touch this code. Now look at what you have commented out for you. More header goes here. You remember the header that is missing from yesterday if you were in my class. There's an answer. So which header is missing? We have been given two headers that we didn't work with yesterday. And here it says more header goes here. Thank you. Although your this thing was really noisy. Does anybody want to say something? To the best of my ability, yes. Now, that header you told me, this is where it is. So include stdio. Remember, we are not to touch anything they've done. But anything you see in the comments here, you should do it. That is your own. The rest, leave it. So our header we are including, the header we are used to is stdio.h. Forget about these two. The next thing is Betty style documentation for your function main. I explained it yesterday, and I explained it in my video today. So rather than explaining it again, if you've not watched it, you can go and check it out. So for Betty to work, we have to put a documentation for our function main. You were here yesterday, it shouldn't sound so strange. Or if you watch my video, it shouldn't also sound so strange. So here we are going to put our documentation now. For function main. Now this whole thing, this whole code, you're having issues with C programming, hello world, question 4. I checked my video on hello world. Now this whole code we want to do is to print a random number. If it is positive, if it is negative, or if it is 0. I don't have time to write it, so I'm just going to put my return statement, and our return statement is going to return 0. Then I can comment out my code. So this thing that I've just done is Betty style documentation. If I don't put my function main and my return statements, Betty is going to complain. If you watch that hello world video, there was somewhere where Betty complained for me. You could learn a lot from how I fixed it. Next up that we are touching is your code goes here. Remember, we are not touching anything that does not concern us, this whole thing. But anywhere you see in comments here, that's where we touch. Okay, so which of our code is going to go where? Let's come here now. The output of your program, look at the question now. So this is all that concerns us. The number followed by, if the number is greater than 0, then we write is positive. If the number is 0, we print 0. And if the number is less than 0, print negative. So this is what we're about to translate to code now. So let's go ahead and do hard things now. If what's the variable we are given here? The variable n. So what we are working with is variable n. Now if n is greater than 0, if you followed me when I was explaining the quiz, this should not look too strange. If n, if the number, remember the output though, the number, we don't know the number because the number is in the variable n. So we are simply saying if n is greater than 0, what should be the output is positive. It's as simple as we'll come down here and we'll write print f. Now, this format specifier D is what we are going to use to print the number. Once again, sometime around next week, I'll be talking about format specifiers more. Then what does this /n do? It's not magical. This /n print out a new line. See where they said we should print it out. We should print out a new line. I guess it's clear now. So that's why I'm putting a /n. We are saying if n, or if the number is greater than 0, print out this D stands for whatever the number is. You know, we don't know the number now. So we are saying print out the number is positive if the number is greater than 0. That's what this code does here. Else, if n is lesser than 0, what are we going to print? Someone should just tell me what we are going to print. Thank you. You're correct. So we are going to print that the number is negative. As much as you can, try to read the code. As much as you can, try to read it like plain English to help you understand it better. And then else, we are now going to print. So if the number is not positive or it's not negative, what else can the number be? Thank you. So at that point, we don't have to say if the number is 0, because either the number is positive, negative, or 0. So we just say else, go ahead and print out is 0. So I'm getting questions that this n, what does it do? This n, you know, we are supposed to put n is 0 normally. There's no reason why we should have modulus D. We are just supposed to print n is positive, n is negative. But this is C syntax. We can't fault it. So we have to use this modulus D here. This %D. Then here, we'll now specify that the %D should look for n. So that's why we're putting n. If we put B here now, you are going far. Just leave that one first. We don't know where we'll get it from. Our work is to write if it's 0, if it's positive, or if it's negative. If I put B here now, it's going to look for this %D. It's going to look for a variable called B. So it's going to look here, int n is not B. Then we say if n is equal to 0. So it's going to ask me where is B. So it won't work. So I have to use the n, the same value we've been working with. Remember, we are using n because we don't know what the value is. Lindia, I just explained your question. What's the work of the n after the new line? That's what I'm just explaining. So I hope you've gotten that. So this is the code that we are to add, and this is what we've added. Look at the question again. The output should be if the number is greater than 0, it's positive. If the number is 0, is 0. If the number is less than 0, negative. That's what we've just done here. If the number is greater than 0, the number is lesser than 0, or the number is 0. Simple, right? It's simple normally. Now, after this, the next thing we'll have to do is BETY 0 and then tab. Know what we're checking for now? We're checking if Betty has any problems with us. So press enter. Look at it. I said we'll talk about Betty. Trailing white space. How do you identify this? Look at the first line. It's telling you the file, 0, positive or negative. Please listen to this part very carefully. The first line is going to tell you the file where Betty has the issue. Now, this is going to tell you the line where the error is, line 20. And it's going to tell you the error, trailing white space. So if we open to this file now, on line 20, there is a white space that we are not supposed to have. See what white space means here. Just come here and press tab. You see as this cursor is shifting up and down. Let me increase it. See as this thing is shifting. This is a white space. It doesn't want it. So anywhere that your code is shifting like this, up and down, there's a white space somewhere. Betty would complain. I hope that was helpful. Now let's go and fix it. So VI is 0. What line are we looking at? Line 20. So watch. I'm going to get in here now. This line 1. This line 2. This line 3. This one here is line 4. But imagine a code where you have 50 lines, you will now be counting. Okay. So this is how you can get your lines. Look down here. It will be telling you what line you are now. You can see it's moving. Line 3, line 4, line 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18, 19, 20. Do you see down here it says line 20? I'm using my arrow up key and down to move. Now in line 20, they says trailing white space. Look at this else. You see how the cursor is moving? This is what Betty was complaining about. I know it's no get how you won't wear glass, you can't see this. So this is how to fix Betty issues of trailing white space. How do I do it? Just put a backspace. Now, if I try to move my Betty and my arrow key, you are going to see it's not working again. Let me on my audio so that you hear the noise computer make. Can you see the noise? It can't move again, but it's going left though. But after the E, no white space. I'm 1000% sure that I will not have the error again. So let's check it. Now the error has disappeared. The error has disappeared. So if you have here plenty trailing white space, remember how I left Ubuntu, because the way Ubuntu indented the code for me, that is going to complain of plenty white space. I just left it. If you're using Sandbox, you would experience this a lot. Now use this formula I've just showed you. That's that. There is no way I would git add now. I was disconnected. Me or you? So it was you that was disconnected. Git commit message and then git push. All right. Go and check your code now to work. Yes, Fume, it's just a matter of knowledge. That's why if you see me, one thing I will tell you is to, once it's not working, go and rest. I didn't do GCC. I did not compile my program. No, I didn't. I didn't compile. GCC compiles the program now. But I did not compile mine. Are we not doing chmod? Are we changing mode for this one? It's like we'll have to make it executable too. So you can make it executable. So if I start a new test now, I should see a check failing because I did not make it executable. And it even gives me one error. Oh, yeah. So I should have just one check failing. I have never done GCC. Are we supposed to? Guess what? It did not. Wait, check it. Shana, am I the thing? So it was not in the requirements now. That's what it means. I didn't read the requirement this time. I just went ahead. So yes, no need to execute. Now, question 1 is a lot similar to question 0. Let's go ahead and do it. So I've used this tag 0 to show you how Betty works, Abby. There's a way, but I don't know because I've never unexecuted before. Just go ahead and push it. So I've just created the file 1 now, 1 digits. I just copy paste. I create with VI, so that's why I'm fast. Okay, Mr. Bolo here gives a method to unexecute. U minus X. Thank you for that. I don't know who just did this thing, but next time please use the install message. Like you're using earpiece or something. It's not very clear. So just use the install message. Tax 1 and tax 2 is similar. Tax 1 and tax 0. Look, this one does not concern us. See, you can find the source code here. Do not touch this code. You don't have to understand this rest. See our concern here. The string large digit of followed by n followed by the string is followed by this way concern me. The string is followed by the last digit. If the last digit of n is greater than 5, then the string and is greater than 5. If the last digit of n is 0, the string and is 0. So let's go and see the source code first. So here's the source code. This is how you copy from GitHub directly. Click on this button here, copy. Once it shows this good sign, then you've copied. So I'm going to come down here now and paste everything. As usual, you know what to do now. More headers goes here. So you know the header to write. STDIO. And Betty's style documentation for function main. I think Betty is annoying, so I'm not a fan of Betty. It is what it is. So I'm just going to write main. If you push this to GitHub and a recruiter is looking at your work in 2 years from now, sees that you're writing a code and you're complaining that it's annoying, follow. So I put my main function annoying. Well, see what really concerns us here. This place where our code goes. So let's look at the output once again, what we're supposed to do. Sorry, I'm rushing. I just figured out that somehow, I don't have a lot of battery. That's why I'm a little faster than before. So let's go back to our listing now. One last digit. The string last digit of followed by number followed by the string is. So yes, welcome to C programming language calculation. We have to start doing some calculation. The output of our program should be the string last digit of followed by n. N is the number, but our output is saying that we should print out the last digits of our number followed by the number followed by the string is followed by if the last digit of n. A little bit complicated, Abby. Let's manage. So how do we do that? First, the variable n is given to us here because this is the number. So let's work with that first. Because we are going to do calculation. See, it's given to us here. It's n. But we're asked to find the last digits of the number. I don't so I expect this to be a little complicated. To be able to get the last digits of whatever this number is, I will need to store the last digits inside another variable. So that's why I'm creating a variable called x. Another one now called x. Now, how do I get the last digits of the number? X equal to n, this percent sign, and then 10. What this does, this is not percentage. In programming, this is called a modulus. Any number that's modulus 10 is going to print the last digits of the number. Just study somewhere. I'll try to do more explanation probably next week when I'm talking about C proper. I don't understand how ALX expects you in your second day of writing C program to be able to know about modulus and that if you want to print the last digit, you have to use modulus 10. It is what it is. You signed up to do it, so no complaints. So now this code here would be able to get the last digits of our number n, and it stores it in the variable x. Up here, we define the variable x. Next up, we are now going to print out some things. So the string last digits of followed by n. So I'm going to print last digits of what? We don't know, because here is n, so we don't know what it is. So the last digits of n, as represented by this %d here, is this. So the last digit of this number, so assuming this n now is 100, the last digit of 100 is 0. N and x. So why are we having x? Because what we are working with is these variables here, and this is the last digit of n is x. So remember, I said whatever the last digit of this n is will be stored in the variable x. That's why we have x here. I hope that was too clear. Now we have solved this comba sorts. The last digit of n followed by the string is. Now where we have to get is this followed by this place now, and this place is pretty much simple. If the last digit of n is greater than 5, we should print the string and it's greater than 5. So here we go. If the last digits, remember what variable we stored our last digits? We stored it in variable x. Now print f. So what do we print now? And is greater than 5. Now, what else are we looking for? If the last digits of our number is equal to 0, what are we going to do? We are going to print, that's going to type, so I'm copying and pasting. We are now going to print and is 0. So this side now should make sense now. What else are we looking to print? Now, if the last digit of n is less than 6 and it's not 0, it's going to print this Alx. So this is how I'm going to do it. If the last digit of the number we are going to print, and the last digit is stored in the variable x. So if x is less than 6, and so that's the and sign, and x is not 0, we are now going to print we're now going to print that message I just copied from now. Remember, you should always put semicolon when you put it. Yes, it's going to give you errors. So like our print statements now, we'll have to put semicolons there. You could decide to use the if, else, and then else if statements. But what I did, what I share with you is that I didn't use it. Okay, see where I'm having my issues. Now we are going to finish all our printf statements with a new line. Probably if you are able to use the if, else, and then else if statements, you may not need to go through all of this. But this was the best way I could understand it to show it to you in the simplest format I can. So once again, we are to get the last digit of the number n, and to do that, we use the %10. This would help us get the last digit. Now we store that last digit variable x. So the variable x would be n %10 here. And then we are now going to print for everything we are doing. The last digit of n is %10. That one will print normally. So if the last digit of this number n is greater than 5, it's going to print the last digit of, so let's say 100 now. Let's say this n is 100 and this x is 0. So we are saying the last digit of 100 is 0. If 0 is greater than 5, it's going to print this. If 0 is equal to 0, it's going to print this. And if 0 is lesser than 6 and it's not equal to 0, it's going to print. So if we are using 0 now to print this middle message, so it's going to say the last digit of 100, 0, and is 0. That's the definition of this long code. I'm sure this would work if our program would compile. Next week I'll talk about next week I'll talk about we have so many errors now. Our first error is in line 23, the second one is in line 23, and the third one is in line 27. Great. So another good time to talk about Betsy. The first error says trailing white space in line 23. The second error says we should put space around this operator And the third one says that we should put space around here. Let's see how I solve that. First error is in line 23. So at least line 23. Look at the trailing white space. So I'm going to remove this now. Then they said we should put space around this place. So I've done just that. And then our next error in line 27. They said we should put space around that. All right. So if I do betting now, you can see no more error. It just gave me main. Okay, so you can go ahead, git add, commit and push. Git add, git commit -m h, and then git push. So that will work very well for you, and then go and check your code. It's going to work. Okay, it's failed us. And let's see where it's failed us. The correct output with N98. Okay, very close. It expected 43 characters. It expected 44 characters, got 43. So we missed one thing here. And then here was correct. So we missed another one. It expected 53 characters, got 52. Then it expected 31 characters. It expected 32 characters and it got 13. Correct output with N minus 98, N98, and N98. So it's simply those strange, weird looking errors. Simply identify the error now, and you look at our line. These are first printf statements here. That's where our error is coming from. After this %d, the second one, we're supposed to put a space. So if you notice, it got one character less for all our answers, and this is the one character less. So we're supposed to add a space here, and now we can save and quit and do the same things we've done before. Git add, git commit with the message. So I will say tax1, and then git push. All right, so if I go back now to check my code, so okay, as passed successfully, we don't get that error message again. So how was I able to fix that? It's a concept called debugging, and later in my special intense learning class, I'll be taking you through how to debug your codes, how to check for it, and how to know where you're wrong, and how to fix it. If you still feel lost, these things come naturally with time. But I hope this video has been able to help you understand something, at least. That's the most important thing. And with this video, you should be able to do tag 0 and 1. Now, how can you complete your remaining tasks? I can't take you through all of them. So I'm going to give you a way now to help you so that you can beat the deadline. You come to GitHub here. This is my GitHub account. Bwave ICT on GitHub. So these accounts can help you beat the deadline. If you look here in my pinned repositories, you can see ALX low level programming. So just click it. Then you can see projects you're currently working on now. So you see a challenge with here, you could use the hello world. If this is the project you're working on, just click on it and compare side by side my code with yours. Okay, so this one last digit, this starts to print alphabets. So just go ahead and compare side by side my code with yours. So you can open it and then try to read everything I write here and see if you can understand why I'm using everything, you know. Once you're able to read and understand it, even if you can't write out the same code, then it means you're making a lot of progress. Okay, so but don't copy and paste. Try to type it out and then read everything you type out. If you have errors, compare with what I did here, and that would help you. From next week, I'm going to be taking C from scratch, from the very basics of C. And I'm going to be using the VI terminal. I'm going to install GCC. I'm going to take you through everything you need to know from the basics. So if you want to join my special intense learning class, just send me a message on WhatsApp or send a message under this comment section on YouTube here, and I'll reply you and you'll get access to me on WhatsApp so you can join our special intense learning class. If you want me to teach you C one-on-one too, I can also do that. So you can also send me a message too on WhatsApp. All right, this will be all for this video. So use my GitHub to complete the rest, but do tag 0 and 1 by yourself. Now you understand how to fix Betty. Now you understand the quiz questions, and to a large extent, you understand tag 0 and 1. So thank you so much, guys. Please, if this video is helpful, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time when I see you again, it's a goodbye from me.